had to import the sauna and the palm tree to California, but they didn't have to import this rugged Monterey and Carmel coastline. It's always been here. The fishing's not all that good anymore, and the fishing boats are just a reminder of John Steinbeck's Cannery Row. And the surfers still play where the sardines once supported the fishing industry. But there's a new industry here now. It's called horses. And California is rapidly becoming a leader in the nation in just the sheer number of horses, with its major shows and major events, and is attracting the top stallions in the industry from all breeds. And there's a new import in California, one that has a majestic presence to match this spectacular coastline, Rents Plot. Keeping account of horses has got to be a tremendous task. Now, each horse breed has an association. What's the primary purpose?
The primary purpose of a horse breed association is to maintain pedigree records on the horses involved in that breed. The Appaloosa Horse Club, since 1938, has maintained pedigree records on over 400,000 horses.
That's a lot of horses, 400,000. Of course, each year, you're a fast-growing industry. How many do you register each year?
In excess of 20,000, and it keeps increasing all the time.
Now, if I were an Appaloosa owner and breeder, what could you do for me as my Appaloosa Horse Association?
Well, in addition to maintaining the pedigree records on your horse, we maintain competitive records of all types, showing and racing. And particularly in the showing area, we have a national and world championship shows and sanction over 700 local and regional shows every year.
That's a tremendous amount of shows. I didn't know it was that large, but I can see why. The Appaloosas are beautiful horses, and there's a lot of people getting into it. Eric, the Appaloosa Horse Club is involved in some very, very exciting projects. Can you tell me about them?
The thing we're most excited about, Leo, is $500,000 we put up as an incentive award to owners to take their Appaloosas out into open competition against other breeds.
$500,000. That's tremendous.
And we're real excited about it. A major example of this is $150,000 we've put up for the first Appaloosa that wins the National Cutting Horse Association's Open Cutting Finals, which is a contest for all ages and all comers. And it's a very highly competitive competition for cutting horses.
So as the Appaloosas, and boy, these are beautiful. As an Appaloosa competes and wins in the open competition, you'll give incentive awards to owners.
That's correct.
That's a real incentive right there. And of course, you've been involved, the Appaloosa Horse Club and its board of directors, involved in a decision that was very historical in all breed associations. I've always, in growing up, loved Appaloosas, and I thought all Appaloosas had spots, and that's what made it an Appaloosa. But that's not true, because there's solid Appaloosas also.
That's right. The board of directors of the Appaloosa Horse Club has allowed Appaloosas that do not have a coat pattern to participate in competition now. And it's a very historic decision for us, and what it boils down to is that the Appaloosa is a breed of horses rather than a color. And the benefits of this are economic, and really for the family-type breeder who only has several horses, and when his full crop comes, then he's assured that all of his foals can compete.
Well, how did that decision set with all the members in the Appaloosa Horse Club?
Well, my male's been running about 87% positive.
So you get a few cards in left.
Yes, I do.
You know, Eric, kids and horses go really well together, and little Angela seems to be enjoying her ride today. Good morning. Do you like being on that horse?
Yeah.
It seems like you sure do. And I guess you see a lot of kids when you travel around the country.
Yes, I'm fortunate enough to get around to a lot of horse shows and horse events, and we find that horses are real family affairs, and kids are really enjoying it.
Now, the association, the Appaloosa Association, and I guess all the other horse breed associations, do they have programs for the youth?
Yes, we have an Appaloosa Youth Association, which is dedicated to promoting youth in Appaloosas, and they have their own competitions, and we maintain records for them as we do for the open competitions.
That's tremendous. So they compete, they have shows, and they go to the national and the world just like the grown-ups.
That's correct.
That's tremendous. You know, I envy you, a man, in your job, getting to see beautiful Appaloosas like this and working with them all the time, but also the fine people that get associated with horses all through the industry.
We like to think that the people are what makes the Appaloosa industry the best of all.
Good luck to you
Thank
and
you.
the Appaloosa Horse Club.
Thanks.
You know something? I swear I've seen that horse somewhere before. This is the Spalding Stallion Station, and it's the home of Prince Plaudit, a legend in his own time, and an Appaloosa that has sired 22 national and world champions, and that's more than any other stallion in any other breed. And I'm with the owners, Dave and Joan Spalding. And Dave, did you ever think that you'd own a horse like Prince Plaudit?
Leo, it's a dream that came true.
I would imagine.
We're proud of him, and it took some doing and a lot of time and effort and negotiations, and finally all the bugs were ironed out, and we were able to bring him to California.
A horse like Prince Plaudit is not cheap, and that means also you could be in the market, or could have been in the market for any other stallion, but you chose an Appaloosa stallion.
Well, in today's time, you know, if you want to be in business, you want to go for the best, and we felt Prince Plaudit was one of the best stallions in the country, and he's the one that we went after.
He has quite a record. Can you, we don't have a lot of time to go over the tremendous records that he has set and everything, but tell us a little bit about his background.
Well, he showed himself at numerous major shows, both in roping, cutting, halter. He was a champion in his own right, and he's one of the sires that I would consider a sire of sires.
Just fantastic. He stamps his color on his horses.
Yes,
Describe him a little bit to us.
Okay, Prince Plaudit is a white leopard with numerous spots on his front half, and also he has a perfect heart on his left hip.
Does the leopard look unusual to the Appaloosas?
Yes and no. There's probably fewer leopards in the country than any other type of color pattern.
You brought the Prince to the West Coast, and that's going to give a lot of breeders an opportunity to come and visit the Prince. And what are your plans?
Well, Leo, as you know, Prince Plaudit is 20 years old. We feel strongly that he'll last another 10 years. We plan to leave an open book on him for maybe the next 2-3 years.
Now, by an open book?
Well, we'll be breeding to outside mares for the next 2 or 3 years. And at that time, we plan on closing the book, breeding only to our own mares or qualified mares such as world champion producer mares.
Joan, you're a lady that looks out your kitchen window here at the ranch every morning, and you get to see a legend, Prince Plaudit. What's he like?
Leo, I think he's the most gentle horse. I don't think you could ever find a stallion that has his disposition. He is gentle enough that I could put an 8-year-old on him.
And this is a big stallion.
And this is a stallion, but he's gentle enough where he could be a first child's horse, and gentle enough where you wouldn't have to worry about him.
That's tremendous. Do you ride him very often?
Oh, as often as I can.
Every chance that
Every
Dave
chance I
lets
get,
you,
right.
huh? I don't blame you. Do you get many visitors to come to see the Prince?
Since he's been here, we've had a lot of people coming by to see him. When they come by, we take them out and they look at them. He signs our guest book.
Prince Plaudit's got a guest book.
Yeah, Prince Plaudit has his own guest book. And everybody who comes in gets to sign their name to it.
Do you get many cards and letters from people that see the prints in the magazines and the different posters and the shows?
Oh, we've had a lot of people sending us letters of congratulations.
Congratulations, that you
that we
purchased the Prince
Plaudit, and he's nearby.
and brought him to California.
And we also had a package sent by one of his children. She had heard about all the rain we were having, so she sent her dad a little pink inner tube so he could be floating, so the rain wouldn't get to him. You've been a horse trainer for many years. You've seen the horse industry really grow a lot.
Right, it's going in leaps and bounds. There's many people getting into this industry and enjoying every inch of it.
It sure is. The magnitude of the horse business, for instance, you go to how many shows in a year?
Well, Leo, we travel all over the nation, and we'll get to approximately 50 horse shows a year.
It's big business.
Leo, it really is. Right in this small area where I live, there's approximately 20 large horse farms within less than 20 miles away from me here.
And every breed?
Every breed. We have Arabian horses, we've got quarter horses, thoroughbreds, paints, just about any breed that a person would choose. There's one of everything for anybody.
And as a successful trainer, you can take your pick of horses to train. What do you look for when you select a horse to train?
Well, one of the first things that we look for, Leo, is we like the eye appeal. And depending on what we're going to use this horse for, if it's a halter horse, we're definitely looking at the conformation, the eye appeal of the horse. If we're looking for a performance horse, then we're looking for an athletic horse that can go do that particular job.
Does a personality come out in?
Personalities have a lot to do with this. It's a psychological thing. Like with a horse, he's got to be able to enjoy what he's doing and be trainable to go do it.
Horses are intelligent, more intelligent than people think.
Way more than what people give them credit for, definitely.
There's a lot of young people in the horse business, and you see a lot of them and work with a lot of them.
Yeah, Leo, just like these two girls here are grooming for me here now. And these young people, they get into this, they like the program, they like the horses, they like the activity that's around them.
You not only train horses, but you do train the people that exhibit them. And I know when I go to the shows and I see an exhibitor, I marvel, I'm amazed at the professionalism. And that's a lot of pressure out there in that arena. What does it take to be a good exhibitor?
Well, Leo, the first thing, they have to have the incentive and the drive. They have to have the feeling that they want to go out and do something and have accomplished something. And in order to do this, they have to put in the time and the effort. And again, I say, they have to have the desire.
Well, a lot of them do, and especially the ones that you train, because they're winners. And And, you know, around the ranch, I couldn't help noticing the many Appaloosas that you have here. You must train quite a few of them. What do you like about the Appaloosas?
Well, Leo, the Appaloosa horses is a very popular breed. And the things about the Appaloosa horses, we like the coloring naturally. The other thing, we like the enthusiasm that when we take our Appaloosa horses, other people like them also. They're very trainable, very versatile horses. The horses not only can do one event, they can do numerous events and do it day after day.
And of course, they're very beautiful to see.
Definitely. One of the greatest things that I like about the Appaloosa horses, I've had hundreds of them. I don't think I've ever had any two alike.
That's tremendous. You're a man that must really love his job, to put in the effort that you do. What do you, when you think back in the many years, what do you like the best about being a trainer?
Well, one of the main things, of course, is being self-employed. Secondly, I like to have the chance to accomplish and achieve my own thing. There's so many rewarding things that become of it from this, that you're helping other people do things, and they also enjoy the association.
Grant, exercise is important to a horse, and you've got quite an exercise device around here, the treadmill.
Yeah, Leo, it is a real good helper, and it saves a lot of time, and it does a lot of developing and exercise on this horse. It builds the muscles in the back, and in the legs, and in the forearms, and in the chest. And also, it will work the muscles in the neck. So actually, virtually, you're working every bit of the horse on this treadmill, and you're doing it all in one operation.
How often or how long will you put a horse on a treadmill?
Well, depending on the horse, but anywhere from 7 minutes to 20 minutes. And we've never used one longer than 20 minutes at a time.
And you have one invention that I've never seen one before. You have a steer, but he doesn't look like a steer. What does he do?
Well, this steer here is actually made of cloth and canvas and a little padding. And he's a simulated cow. And he runs on cables with pulleys. And what we use this for is for cutting. Now,
what do you mean by cutting?
Cutting is where a horse will go into a herd of cattle, pick one out, and hold it back from the herd to drive into another pen, or to seemingly keep away from the other herd for doctoring, or whatever the case may be. So in order to do this, you have to teach a horse how to read this cow's mind.
Cut a cow or calf out of a herd.
Right,
That's
and
where the word
to
came
hold
from.
it
Right.
in place, or put it into another place. So we started this little device here simply on our young horses for the motion or the movement, or in cow sense we say horse to read a cow, to know what the cow's going to do before he does it, so he positions himself to block the forward motion of the cow.
Is it easier to train a horse or an exhibitor using your dummy steer than instead of a real cow?
Definitely. The biggest advantage that we find is this cow here is controllable. We can move this cow at any speed, any direction we want to move it. So with a young horse, we don't get the horse in over his head. The horse builds confidence and learns how to read this animal. And as he gets more confident, then he can go ahead and do other things. If you're using live cattle with young horses, oftentimes you cannot find the cow that is suitable for that horse's ability that day. We can control it with this simulated cow.
So it's a little rougher in that arena and a little rougher in your arena, and the time they get out to the nationals of the world, it must be a piece of cake after working with that steer.
Well, that's what we hope is going to happen, yes.
Now, I'm an exhibitor and working with a lot of the people that you train to show. I noticed you have we call a trail set. Explain some of the set.
In our practice course out here, what it is actually designed for, it's a simulated obstacles that you may come upon in the mountains. We have a water hole out there, which is a simulated creek or mud hole or whatever. We have simulated bridges out there that actually move. They teeter back and forth. We have places out here where there's logs that you have to side pass or step over. So we take our horses in there and we teach them how to negotiate all these obstacles. And now it's come to the show ring, and they call it a trail course. So every horse is shown with expression where he looks at the ground, looks at the obstacle in front of him, and then go ahead and takes the rider across it safely. A lot of times, you may know on trail rides, you come to a creek and the horse jumps and bolts over the creek or will not go into the creek. So we actually teach these horses here at home that these things are not a big scary item to them, that they can just go ahead and negotiate it and to the safety of the rider.
Grooming a horse, very important, especially in showing it.
Definitely. We spend a lot of time grooming on our horses. We brush and we rub them. We use a vacuum cleaner and we vacuum them. We do a lot of hoof care on our horses. And we make our horses look good and feel good at the same time. The more polish in a hair coat that you can get to bring out the more highlights, the better your horse is going to look.
But Grant, you're obviously a man that really enjoys his profession, and you're very successful at it. And looking at the ranch, geez, you really stay busy around here.
Yeah, as a matter of
There's an old saying that says, training makes perfect, and a guy that is living proof of that, because he does it all, Grant Gibbs.
Hello, Simmons Kennedy. Hello, Jack. How you doing? Hey, you bet. Boy, I'll tell you what, we've been busy as a three-legged cat. Well, I'll tell you, we've got most of our own mares out in the pasture now, but the mare motel's filling up, but I'll tell you what, we sure got a little room left for you anyway. Oh yeah, Gore's doing good. Model T's doing good. We've been breeding a bunch of mares. Has produced two national champions, or a national and world champion, is sure the kind we're interested in breeding. Oklahoma to the Worlds again this year? You gonna have Texaco there? Okay, partner. See you later now. Bye-bye.
A national champion. He's quite a horse. You know, if I had a horse like Gore, that'd sure make me want to get into the horse business. And Tom, that brings up a question. You know, how does one get started in the horse business?
Well, you know, there's a lot of different ways. A lot of the people we deal with, it seems to start with the children. you know, the husband and the wife live in town, and their daughter most generally wants to get a horse to go ride. And so she goes off to the horse shows, and pretty soon the father's thinking, well, gosh, maybe I better go see how she's doing. So he goes to the horse shows, and you know the next thing
He gets caught up in it.
he does. I'll tell you what, you see these fathers up there rooting for their daughters and their sons and
Right.
out in all the performance deals. And pretty soon he's kind of looking for a way that he can kind of contribute, kind of do something. And the next thing he's trading in the car for a pickup truck, and he's buying him a horse trailer. And then he starts watching the halter horses. You know, that's when the guy just leads the horse in the ring and stands there. And he
Sure.
says, well, gee, I could probably do that, or maybe I could even raise one. So the next thing he does is he starts looking for a broodmare. And that's when we start getting involved with him, because us being in the breeding business, he brings his mare out and wanting to breed her and raise a foal of his own. So it kind of becomes a family ordeal. You know, the daughter's generally riding, and then the father, he kind of gets involved, and the next thing you know, he's looking forward to the weekends to go to the horse shows.
And then he puts on his blue jeans and his cowboy hat and his boots and goes out to the show, and he gets away from all of the stuff that he normally does.
And I think the great part of that is the diversion that he's looking for.
Well, raising horses, then, Tom, is a heck of a way to also raise kids.
Absolutely. You know, we found that we deal with a lot of the youth, and you find that these kids are so involved in what they're doing. They get excited, the competition, they go to school, they come home, they want to brush their horse, they want to clean the stall, they want to get ready for the next horse show. And, you know, it just seems like they don't have time to get into all that trouble, hanging around or whatever kids do after school, because they're always too busy. It's just a real good, healthy atmosphere for any family to be involved in.
But raising horses, then, is also a heck of a way to raise kids. Tom, I couldn't help but noticing all the young people that you have here at your ranch, and I was very impressed with them. And getting into, say, the horse business, and it is a business to you now, how did you first get started?
Well, I think, Leo, we get started a little differently than other people. Just decided, always kind of wanted a horse to ride, you know, just to kind of go out in the country and just kind of
Right.
get away from everything. So from there, the next deal is all of a sudden we found there was horse shows to go to. So packed up the horse and had a little horse trailer I hooked behind my company car, and here we went off to a horse show. And then we found there was bigger shows, and from there we just kind of progressed to the point where I wanted to just expand the business a little bit. So we started buying some mares, and eventually then came a stallion. It wasn't much longer, and the business grew and grew and grew till it got to the point where it was either going to be a full-time job, or I was just going to have to hire somebody to kind of have all the fun.
And then you made a big decision. You changed your career, your entire profession, and you went into the horse business full-time.
Well, you bet. It was a big decision, because it was kind of hard just leaving a job you've worked at all your life and just decide you're going to go raise horses. So I made the commitment. My partner and myself went to the bank, and we borrowed some money. We went out and bought some mares, and we just started with absolutely nothing and just kept growing and growing and growing.
Now, your collateral when you went to the bank to borrow the money to start this business was what?
Well, essentially all we had was a handful of mares and goer, and we didn't get along with the first banker we talked to. We had to talk to two or three, but finally we found a guy that was kind of wanting to work with us, and he said, well, what the heck, we'll just go with you.
Tom, judging by your facilities here at the Simmons Kennedy Ranch, it's been a profitable business.
Well, we eat 3 times a day. I don't know if we're getting independently wealthy, but we're sure having a lot of fun. We've built this ranch from absolutely nothing. We started here 3.5 years ago with it was just a wheat field. We cleared a little place, made a building, and we've just kind of expanded and expanded and expanded. And everything you see here on the ranch, Leo, is absolutely been built with horse money. It's all started from that original loan. We've built it, we've made it grow, and we have no outside source of income. This is all we do for a living.
Tom, you've made tremendous progress in just 7 years.
Well, we really have, Leo. 7 years ago we started with a dream and an idea to get in the horse business, do horses full-time as a living, is just something we've always wanted to do. But it hasn't been without a lot of hard work. 7 years ago we had basically one stallion and 2 or 3 mares, and it's been a matter of a lot of hard work, long days, a lot of sacrifice, and it's the same as in any job. If it doesn't matter what you're doing, if you really love it and you're willing to spend the time, you're going to progress, and hopefully that's what we've done.
Well, raising horses, it's a way of life.
Well, it really is. You know, that's the thing I think that brings so many people, well, once they get into the business, that keeps them in the business. Because, like in our situation, I used to have a job where I left home at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning and got home at night. And the great thing about the horse business is that everybody's involved. I'm here at the ranch all day. My wife's involved. She does our bookkeeping and billing and all the record keeping. My boys work here after school and clean stalls and whatever work has to be done. And it's just kind of a whole new way of life. It's more than a job. It's just a fun way of doing things.
Breeding in the horse business, Tom, it's changed over the years.
Well, it sure has, Leo. Not only have we changed the kind of horses we're breeding for these days, but we've changed the methods in how we breed them. Years ago, the only way we could breed mares was on a live cover. Today, we've through the help of a lot of universities like Colorado State, and they've offered short courses on artificial insemination. We're now at the point where we can artificially inseminate these mares, and it gives us a number of advantages by doing that.
So breeding's become a science, and of course it's very important, and you've had a lot of training in that regard.
Well, I have, not only just through practical experience here on the ranch, but I went to Colorado to take their artificial insemination course. Our ranch manager's also been there, so we have more than one person that can do the AI work here on the ranch.
Well, horses have become more valuable too, and this is a way of, I would imagine, protecting and the safety of the horses so they don't get injured.
Well, absolutely, Leo. It doesn't only protect the stallion from injury of being kicked or whatever, but it also protects the mares. And not only that, because horses have become more valuable and the horse business in general has become so much more sophisticated, we need to find ways to be able to breed more mares to a real valuable stallion. And artificial insemination allows us to, instead of maybe breeding 30 mares in a year, you can breed 50, 150, or whatever numbers you select to choose.
Into a mare like Goer for a season, what would be a normal for Goer doing a breeding season?
Well, on Goer, Leo, we limit Goer's book. We only take 50 outside mares, so we breed 50 customer horses every year plus our own.
That's tremendous. So artificial insemination. Now, how successful is it?
Well, it not only now has all the advantages we talked about, but it also increases your live foal percentage by about 10%. So not only does it allow you to breed more mares and more efficiently and saves time, but it also gives you a higher foal percentage at the end of the year each year.
And you could have gone into any horse breed that you wanted to, and you chose Appaloosas. Why?
Well, it's kind of interesting because in the beginning, when you're just learning about horses, and you know, you don't really know a whole lot, but it's the unusual color patterns that really attract you to the Appaloosa. You never see two alike. Every time you breed a mare, it's just kind of like hunting Easter eggs. You know, it's a new deal every time, and that part it really keeps a lot of people in this business, and really keeps us interesting because every foal you have is totally unique. You're never going to see another one exactly like it. And that's what starts people going, and then later, as you become more and more involved in the Appaloosa horse, you start getting more interested in combining that color with the quality. And that is when you start becoming a professional horseman.
Well, of course, the color, and it is tremendous in an Appaloosa, the beauty of an Appaloosa. And of course, we have a horse, or you have a horse named Goer that has just a tremendous blanket of spots. So what was it like when you first saw him?
Well, I'll tell you, it was really kind of an exciting thing. It's hard for me to explain. I wasn't really out to buy Goer at the time. I simply had a mare up being bred to a sire, Go Bay Go. And I was standing there, and all of a sudden Goer ran across the pasture. And he had that pretty head and the big eye and that presence. And when I saw that horse, that was it. I knew I had to own him.
Well, in the Appaloosa industry, as you go to shows and national and worlds, you hear people say, there's the Goer look. And your Goer look has gone all across the country and around the world with the breeding you've done. Tell us, you started it, what's the Goer look?
Well, it's funny that you mention that, because it is kind of a term that's being used, and when you see a Goer foal, or when somebody calls me and they say, Tom, we just had a brand new Goer baby and he's got that Goer look. And what it is the same look that I saw in Goer when I first saw him. It's that presence that just stands out. It's the difference of making a horse an outstanding horse and a great horse. It's the pretty head, the big eye, the long lean neck, and just that pretty fluid way of moving. And Goer sires that on his foals with just a tremendous consistency, and it's just kind of been commonly called now as the Goer look.
Well, the Appaloosa breed is growing, and there's over 400,000 Appaloosas that are registered now. What's the future of the Appaloosa as a breed, in your opinion?
Well, in my opinion, of course, the breed's been great to me. I enjoy it. I enjoy the people in it. But the breed as a whole is really on the move, Leo. If I could advise somebody today to get involved in a breed association, I can honestly say the Appaloosa Horse Club and the Appaloosa Horse is at this point in time on the fastest gaining move it's been in from the history, the initial start of the breed. We have a set of directors, we have organization now in our club where they're putting the promotion, they're putting the drive behind the Appaloosas. And today, if a guy wants to invest some money and be looking for a return on it in a year or 18 months down the road, I can't think of a better place to put your money than today in the Appaloosa Horse.
And that brings up a question, being successful in the horse business. What other advice would you give someone that's going to start, into the horse business? What would be the one thing he should look for?
Well, that's kind of an easy question, because I've answered that question a number of times. People come to us and some of them have been in the horse business a long time, and some are just brand new at it. But they say, Tom, what can we do? What's the magic formula? And there's no easy answer, but if you can answer that in one word, it's quality. You can't replace, there is no substitute for quality. So my advice to you or to anyone, to buy the very best horse you can afford. If you're looking for a horse for your child, don't sacrifice a few dollars to get one that's not fitted for your child. Try to find the very best one that's going to suit your son or daughter. And if you're looking for a halter horse, you want to buy the very best horse possible that's going to show for you. But when he's all through showing, you can take, if it's a mare, you can use it in a breeding program. If it's a stallion, you can use it in a breeding program, and it'll continue to work for you down the road. So quality is there's no substitute for quality. We find people year after year, they come to the ranch, they buy horses, and maybe one year they have $1,500 or $2,000 to spend, and they buy the very best horse they can for that amount of money. And they have a little fun with it, and they save, and they come back the next year, and they've sold that horse, and hopefully at a profit, they've added a little bit to it, and we bought a better horse for them. And eventually, pretty soon, these horses are working for you, and they're making you money instead of you out there doing them extra jobs to pay for the horses.
It's become a standard. Quality has become Goer, Simmons Kennedy, and a fellow by the name of Tom Simmons in the horse business is lucky to have it.